Are you ready to go 5 pounds down? Well, today I've got a firming weights workout for your whole body. Grab your dumbbells and let's go. All right, beautiful bees, let's go ahead and get moving and grooving. Have your dumbbells completely out of the way. Have your dog completely out of the way. Let's get started with some arm circles with high knees. You guys, welcome to the workout. I'm Paula B. I'm your best middle-aged fitness friend. And around here, we are all about making peace with your menopausal body by finding a healthy weight and moving through the world in ways that feel like love. And you know what really feels like love? Finding that healthy weight with the 5-0 method, where every single day we do 5 things that make you say, oh, I had no idea it could be this simple to lose weight at our age. Every single day we eat the right number of calories, which is not necessarily less than you were eating before. Every single day we're going to drink the right amount of water, which is half your body weight in pounds in fluid ounces of water. Every single day we get the right amount of sleep by going to bed at the same time every night, getting up at the same time every morning, and not worrying if all of that in between there was actual sleep, because sometimes it's not. Let's go ahead and do some arm crossers with booty kickers. My friends, every single day we exercise moderately, with love, with movements like today's workout. And it's not necessarily more than you were doing before. Every single day we do the most important thing of all. We manage our minds by finding our thoughts and deciding if they're helpful. Because the fact is, my friends, we have some unhelpful thoughts rattling around in there. And when we find them and clear them out and make room for other helpful thoughts, we can get where we're going even faster. I have a helpful thought for you today, and I love this one. What if this wasn't a problem? Now, sometimes when I think this to myself, I'm like, no, but it is. Let's go ahead and do some welcome to my homes. Because sometimes some things really feel like a problem. But I heard somewhat recently, and I would tell you who it was if I knew who it was. I read or heard it on a podcast from somebody who was quoting somebody else and they didn't say who it was. You cannot solve a problem by thinking that it's a problem. And I absolutely love that because, first of all, it's so true. And second of all, it really opened my mind to the possibility of thinking about something in a more curious and open way in order to actually find the resolution. Now, here's the thing. Speaking of curious and open, oh my gosh, today we get to sink into a beautiful weights workout with generous intervals that are going to feel so lovely. I've got the handy dandy gym boss here set for intervals of 45 seconds. I've got a nice, more than a handful of exercises that we're going to take in mini circuits today. We're going to take our time with these, we're going to enjoy it, and we're going to feel so good. Because you know what? Working with weights, it's definitely not a problem. Let's go ahead and get started with some high knee press-ups. Go ahead and grab those dumbbells. Got the timer going already. Do not worry about how long it takes you to get into or out of each position. High knee on one side, press up with the other. We're not trying to get a set number of these done because we're working in mini circuits. So I've got 3 exercises here in a row. The next thing that we're going to do is deadlifts. We're going to do these 3 exercises twice in a little mini circuit. So you're going to get plenty of work done. And there's no rest today unless you'd like to take rest. So we're going to be moving at a pace that just feels right. And in fact, it might even feel too easy. And that's not a problem, by the way. Because you can't solve a problem by thinking that it's a problem. So when you are using a pair of weights that feels like something that you could do every day, like something that you're not even going to be sore about, here we go with deadlifts, really thinking about pulling in that core, pushing those hips back behind you, and then pulling those hips forward. Your hips are driving this motion by pushing back and pulling forward. Your torso is very naturally going to come forward when your booty pushes back. So rather than thinking about leaning forward or bending forward, you're thinking about pushing your hips back behind you. I actually like to think as though I'm trying to push my hips into the wall. Even though the wall is like, I don't know, 10 feet away maybe back there. I like to think about what would happen if I could push my hips back to that wall. When it beeps again, by the way, we're doing umbrella openers. One arm is doing a front raise, the other arm is doing a side raise, and the opposite foot is doing a foot side raise. Leg raise out to the side. This is balance work. Make sure you pull in your core. Make sure that you have an amount of weight that feels like something that you could use every single day. Does that mean that I think you should do weights every single day? No, not necessarily. If you like to do weights, you can do some weights work. I will caution you that there is a point of diminishing returns with weights. That doing some resistance work a couple of times a week is excellent excellent for your muscle health, for your bone health, but it's not necessary to do every single day. And here's why. Because a lot of the things that you are doing are working your bones and muscles anyways. You don't have to have weights in your hands. Now, when it beeps again, by the way, we're doing high knee press-ups. If you happen to love using weights, you are absolutely welcome to do them every day. I will suggest that you do different exercises, not necessarily that you have to go like split body, like all upper body one day and then lower body the next day. If you are working with nice moderate weights, but doing different exercises so that you're moving in different planes of motion, you are welcome to do the strength work that feels best to you. When it beeps again, by the way, we're doing those deadlifts for the second and final time, really thinking about having our core pulled in, moving at a pace that feels just right to you. When we are trying to move too fast, okay, a couple of things. It could be an indicator that your weights are too light, but I don't like to say that because I've just spent all this time telling you that you can use light weights, that you can use a weight, here we go with deadlifts, that you can use a weight that you feel like you could do every single day. However, again, on the point of diminishing returns there, if you are working with a weight that feels so light that you don't notice that you're using weights, you could possibly challenge yourself a little bit more, unless there's a reason. Like, for example, your physical therapist was like, no, you can't go past, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever, for whatever shoulder reason or whatever. Sometimes there are reasons why you would be working with light weights, and really, that's just an opportunity to really think about your brain-body connection. If you are moving too quickly, you might be missing some of the signals that your body is sending you. When it beeps again, by the way, we're doing umbrella openers, and that is why I love to slow down on these strength exercises, because we're moving in a lot of the same ways that we're moving when we're doing cardio work. But when we're moving quickly, we're missing a lot of these signals. We're missing a lot of that off-balance feeling when we're moving fast. By the way, when it beeps again, we're moving into our next mini circuit. We're doing swinging knees to elbows, which means that we're going to have our hands on our shoulders with our elbows pointed forward. You're going to bring up one knee to its opposite elbow, and then to its same side elbow, and then putting it back down again. It's ab work and it's balance work, and it's one of my favorite exercises because it shows me what happens when I'm moving quickly, but sometimes I don't notice that I don't have amazing balance. So we're going to bring up the knee to the opposite elbow, the same elbow, and then back down again. Now here's the thing. I'd like you to think about having your core pulled in, of course, and also having your head up and your chest out. We're not curling down into this crunch, but we are bringing our knee up as high as you can. Now, does that mean that you have to hit your elbows? Absolutely not. By the way, when it beeps again, we're doing letter X's. We're going to have our feet about hip width apart. Going to make the top of the letter X, and then we're going to make the bottom of the letter X, really thinking about squeezing from the middle of our back. When you are standing up straight and tall, you are, even though your abdominal muscles are one big, long sheath of muscle, sectioned off by tendons, there is no such thing as lower abs. Feet about hip width apart, core pulled in. Weights start here in the middle. They go up overhead and out to the side in the top half of the letter X, and then down and out to the side in the bottom half of the letter X. While you are doing this motion, really thinking about squeezing, pulling those shoulder blades together, pulling your core in, and while we're at it, pull your pelvic floor up. I love to think about that really specifically during this exercise because I notice myself, especially when my hands go up overhead, I notice myself kind of bearing down a little bit. Too much information, I'm sorry for it, except for the fact that I am a pusher. I'm a push down kind of a girl. So I have to think about pulling my pelvic floor up. When it beeps again, we're doing side balance press ups. Going to start with your weights here in the middle, feet a little bit closer together. We're going to balance to one side, wherever you can get to, that you can recover from. And while we're there, we're going to press up. This one's even slower than everything else we've done because I really want you to think about getting into position, then doing the press up, trying to get that that weight up overhead in a way that your arm is in the same plane as your body, which means that you're really rotating through that whole shoulder rather than trying to push forward. Balance, press up, and then come out of it just as slowly as you went up. That's the hard part, right? I know, because I'd love to just fall out of that balance. It would be so much easier. Well, we can do that now, not fall out, but here we come back to those swinging knees to elbows. Crunch and down. And here's the thing that I was talking about. There's no such thing as lower abs. It's all one abdominal muscle, but sometimes we pull on different parts of the muscle. And when we are doing a leg up motion as opposed to a chest down motion, we are pulling more from the lower part of your abdominal muscle. Trust me, your upper abdominal muscle is still doing some of this work. It all works together, but it is a way of thinking about your body slightly differently. Pulling your leg up feels very different from crunching down. Have you noticed? One of them is working against gravity, the leg up, and one of them is working with, which makes it a little bit easier. Here we go with letter X's. Pull in that core, pull up on your pelvic floor. Top half of the letter X. Awesome job. Bottom half of the letter X. Really thinking when you're doing any kind of shoulder mobility work like this. I know it's really easy to actually think about your shoulders. Like, where are my shoulders and where are my hands? But what I'd love for you to notice is, what is my back doing? Do you know? It feels weird when you first start thinking about it, right? This is the brain-body connection that Kermit the Frog sings about when I am talking about pulling your shoulder blades together, really squeezing from your back to move a different part of your body. Here we go with those side balance, press up, side balance, press up, and bring it on back down again, and come back down. Awesome job. Side balance, press up, and down, and bring it down. I notice I can get over a lot farther when I'm standing on my right foot. That is not a problem. I also notice that if I try and go over that far on my left foot, I will fall. You should go where you can recover from. Hey, by the way, this is the end of this mini circuit. When it beeps again, we're gonna do split stance flies. Doesn't matter which foot goes forward. For me, I can guarantee that my right foot is gonna want to go forward, so I'm gonna try really hard to make my left foot go forward, and I can do that. Left foot, forward. When we're in this split stance, pull in your core, really thinking about keeping your body weight centered in between your feet, and we're just gonna fly out to the side. You can be leaning forward a tiny bit. As long as your back is nice and straight, your core is pulled in. Go ahead and pull up on that pelvic floor too, my friends. There is no bad time to work on your pelvic floor muscles. There's a bad time to notice that you don't have any. And that is a rough situation to be in. If you are already in a position where you have a prolapse, talk to your doctor about what's best for you. If you are not in a prolapse situation, this should be a safe motion for you to pull up on your pelvic floor. When it beeps again, we're gonna do twisting high knees. We're gonna have our hands just about mid-chest here. We're gonna twist into one high knee at a time, and then put that high knee down, and then twist into the other one. This one is a particularly tough balance move for me. You're gonna notice me wobbling around. Feel free to look away if you'd prefer. That's completely okay with me. I never want you to stare at me if it makes your exercise harder. For me, changing my focus, my balance is fine. I'm working on it. I've been working on it for a long time. I'm really, really good at balancing when I can stare at one thing. When I am moving my body around, staring at different things because my head is moving, it's definitely more challenging for me. When it beeps again, we're doing delt raise side kicks, which is basically a butter churn. I mean, seriously, it's just butter churns, except that it's not. Hands facing you, palms facing you. As we bring those hands up right underneath your chin, we're gonna kick out to one side. And by kick, what I mean is that you're going to gently raise your leg by squeezing those side butt muscles. You will notice this work in your inner and outer thigh as we pull that leg up and lower that leg back down. You're also going to notice this is a great shoulder motion. This one you actually will notice on the top of your shoulder. Your upper back is doing this exercise rather than pulling from your middle back like we do for lots of other motions. When it beeps again, by the way, we're coming back to those split stance flies, which means I'm going to be thinking about putting my right foot forward, which means I won't have to think about it at all because that's how my body will very naturally move. So coming into that split stance, for lots of you, you'll be able to have that back foot flat on the ground. I am not quite that flexible. It doesn't feel amazing to me. And I do prefer a slightly bigger balance challenge by being up on my toes instead of down on my flat foot. Whatever works best for you, I will ask you to challenge yourself in a way that all 10 toes are facing forward rather than having that back foot kicked out to the side. That is an easier balanced stance. If that is what you need to do, that's absolutely fine with me. I'm gonna tell you that if you'd like a little bit more challenge, these are ways that you can challenge yourself a little bit more. When it beeps again, I'm gonna stare at one space because this is balance work too. I'm noticing that my balance is not as good on this side, interestingly. Here we go with twisting high knees. Weights right here about chest level. Twisting one direction and then coming back down and then twisting the other. And hey, you know what? We might as well think about our pelvic floor here too, right? While you are twisting, you're pulling it on your core, really working those abs and obliques. Excellent job. My friend, none of these things are a problem, by the way. I'm offering you lots of form tips today, as though you might be doing something wrong. And I want you to know that you're never doing anything wrong. You might be injuring yourself, and please don't if you can help it. But I like to give you ideas of how to move your body to be the most effective and the most efficient. It doesn't mean that it's a problem that you're moving the way that you are. Here we go with that delt raise side kick. Palms facing your body. One foot kicks out. I did not mean to have my feet quite so far apart. That was really interesting. I was already in the kicking position even though I was standing straight up. My friends, this is the end of our third mini circuit. We only have one more mini circuit left, and we're going to get started with a step back front punch. Yes, I have to say it that slow because I have to think about what that means that our body is doing, and is doing exactly what it sounds like. Step back and punch front. If you can, if your body will naturally go that way or unnaturally go that way, I'm going to try really hard to go across my body, stepping back, for example, with my left foot while punching with my right. My body might very naturally do something different. It's going to. Okay, step back, front punch. Boy, did I have to think about that. My friends, it's not a problem. It's not a problem when your body doesn't know what to do. Thinking about a problem as a problem is the fastest way to really close your brain off from coming up with a solution. Or you'll come up with solutions for things that you've already done, for things that are very easy to just fall back on. You know, you've been told your whole life that you have to eat less and move more. If you look at the scale, today's number, as a problem, your brain will offer you, oh, you should definitely eat less. You're eating too much. You're not exercising enough. By the way, we're doing a bent over row with a triceps kickback. Feet about hip width apart. Push your hips back behind you like that deadlift motion. We're going to bring those dumbbells right up to your armpits and then squeeze them back behind you. Nice controlled motion, really using those triceps. Do you feel those tiny little muscles on the back of your arms trying to move this weight? That's what it should feel like. Really thinking about having those elbows pointed back behind you rather than coming out to the side. Squeeze those hands back and then pull them back and then let your arms relax down. When it beeps again, oh my gosh, why in the world did I make this the last exercise? We're doing peekaboo side steps. That really feels like something that I might have made first, right? So that we could get it over with. It's almost like the finisher before the finisher, but here we go anyways with it. Peekaboo, elbows at shoulder height. Open it up, stepping to one side, close it up, and then open it up, stepping to the other side. Really thinking, if your weights are too heavy, put them down and use something lighter. This is one of the toughest exercises that we do. It really is a finisher before the finisher. Thinking about moving those elbows by squeezing your back. This is your back muscles at work. This is the brain-body connection that we are working on, because when you find your body with your brain, you will be able to, first of all, get really, really good results. Like the brain-body connection is when your muscles will actually tone up and do what they're supposed to do. Here we go with that step back, front punch. Left foot back. Right foot forward. Yes. Yes. What if this wasn't a problem? What if it wasn't a problem that I can't do it right the first time, or that I have to think about it? Because if I think it's a problem, then I tell you what, if I think it's a problem, I'm going to feel really embarrassed. And then I'm going to try and cover it up. And then I'm going to try and pretend like, oh, that's what I meant to do. And then I'm going to not feel very professional. And then this whole thing gets weird. But if it's not a problem, and it's just me, my brain being my brain, then I can actually come up with a solution. My solution is just to slow down, take my time. It's completely okay. It's not a problem that I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. When it beeps again, that just sounds so funny to say out loud though. Shouldn't I know what I'm doing all the time? No. Bent over row with a kickback. Push your hips back. You know what, even fitness professionals can't do stuff sometimes. It's completely okay. I'm still getting the results that I want. And the reason that I'm getting results that I want, by the way, is that brain-body connection. Sometimes my brain-body synapses are firing a little bit slow, but it is actually, just so you know, it is significantly better than it used to be. I am more willing to challenge myself with more, I'm gonna say complicated exercises. They might not always seem complicated to you. When it beeps again, by the way, we're doing those peekaboo side steps for the second and final time. The thing about thinking that something is a problem is that it closes you off to finding a good solution that feels like love. Here we go with those peekaboo side steps and back together. When it beeps again, you guys, we are done. We are not quite finished. And you know what I'm doing for our final finisher of our 5th day of our 5 pounds down every 4 weeks. This series, oh, you bet it, you betcha, we're doing drinky birds. When it beeps again, we get to go alternating. We're doing one interval, 45 seconds of going back and forth. We're probably only gonna get, I bet you we only get like 2 done on each side, if even that. We're gonna continue to breathe. We're gonna continue to pull in our core. We're gonna continue to pull up on that pelvic floor while we're finishing out this interval here. That got tough, but you know what? You're tougher. You, my friend, do not need to solve any problems with your body or the scale or your weight or your calories. You can simply remind yourself that you have every solution you need by not thinking that it's a problem. You can, however, think about pulling in your core, about pulling your back leg up behind you to drive this motion. Because when you think about tipping your torso forward, that, my friend, is part of the problem with your balance that you can resolve by thinking about things as something curious, something compassionate. What can I do that would be even more fun? Oh, you know what? I didn't need to finish that one because that's where I started. You guys, we're better than done. We're finished. Go ahead and put your dumbbells down and let's cool it down. What an amazing strength workout that was. That felt so good. And I'm very, very happy to finish off this 5-day series with you on such a strong note. My friends, you are not facing any problems with your weight or your fitness right now. You are facing some situations, certainly, and you can look at them as situations and you can analyze them gently, compassionately, kindly, so that you can move forward in a way that you know you are going to get to your goal. My friends, open up and close it up. Give yourself a great big hug and a pat on your very strong back. What a great job you did. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I had such a good time. I hope that you enjoy repeating the ones that you want to repeat, repeating any of the ones from our 5 pounds down series or any of the other videos that I've made in the last, almost 2 years at this point. My friends, I have so many for you to choose from, and you can choose what feels best for you to get where you want to go. Thank you so, so much for working out with me. Make sure before you go that you do hit the subscribe button, and no matter what you do tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow.